Welcome to the HU Move Makers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Hello and welcome to the HU Move Maker podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Mercer, School of Business, Howard University, class of 2003. Today I have a very special guest. You know, we highlight movers and shakers from the university, so I got a very, very special guest. Man, I'm talking about a visionary, a businessman, a leader, 18.5 M's, you know, all the way from Fayetteville State, MBA from Howard University, man. He got the Prominent Alumnus Award from Howard University, School of Business Dean's Advisory Board for Fayetteville State University, School of Economics, Adjunct Professor of Entrepreneurship for Howard University, a philanthropist, the Urban League board member, the list goes on and on. Started his first business at the age 24.
That's right.
It'll be a multi-million-dollar enterprise, you know, by now. You know, we're talking none other than Nicholas Perkins, proud member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Welcome to the show, brother.
No, thank you for having me, bro. I'm honored, privileged to be here.
Man, I don't know where to start. I mean, you know, not too many brothers purchasing franchises out here.
Yeah.
18.5 million going viral, man.
Yeah.
Is it as sexy as it sounds, or is it
Man, listen, man, you talking about sleepless nights, burning the candle at both ends, the unbelievable amount of pressure, but at the same time, man, it's all worth it, man. I'm very excited, about the future. Blessed to have the opportunity to have, been the company that was selected for the brand, man. It was a competitive process. Interest from another 149 other companies, man. So, I felt very honored and very privileged to, keep pressing forward throughout the process, man, and was able to get it done. But now the real work starts.
The real work. That's what they say, the real work. So how many locations do you have?
So there are 92 locations in the Fuddruckers system in total. Of those 92, I own 14 of those restaurants in a separate deal, as well as being a franchisor. So a lot of people have gotten a little bit confused about, the news media. I have about 30 franchisees, you know what I mean, that actually own their own restaurants. So I don't own all 92 restaurants. I own the intellectual property, the brand itself, and I have 14 of those restaurants as a franchisee myself. But what made this deal so powerful was that I became the first African-American to own and control the system, right? So now I can sell other Fuddruckers to other people, you know what I mean, and bring them, into the system. And then on that model, we collect royalties. In my private business that operates 14 of those restaurants, I actually own and operate restaurants just like the other franchisees do. So I'm wearing dual hats, but, it's, a great brand, man, that people recognize. Like you said, man, people talk about it. Got so many fond memories, other brand. And, it's time to bring it back. It's time to create new memories. It's time to get the brand in front of, the new generation. And so, I'm excited about it, man. I got, a lot of work ahead of me, but at the same time, bro, I feel very blessed and very honored, to be a part of the rebuilding here.
Man, that's amazing, man. Congratulations on that, Mike.
Thank you.
I remember they had a Fuddruckers on 7th Street at one time when I was at Howard not too long ago. And they had one, I forgot what south suburb it was here in Chicago where I'm at. And my dad took me on my birthday to get a Fuddruckers burger. But it's good to see that, man, that we've been represented in that model. So
yes, how
does one? Because I mean, like, so you own 14 franchises, you own the intellectual property for the franchise. How did you tell me about the competitive bidding process, and how does a brother go from Fayetteville
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? To 18 Milliville. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? To
You know what's
acquiring
interesting?
all of these
What's
businesses.
interesting, bro, is that Fuddruckers is a product of my primary business. My primary business is Perkins Management Services. A lot of people know that we manage cafeterias for HBCUs. That was my primary business. I started Perkins Management a year and a half out of undergrad. I was 24.
Wow.
This November makes my 18th year in business providing contract food. So we manage cafeterias at HBCUs, military installations, and that gave me a foundation, to
How
be
did you
able
get
to
into
go.
that, man? That's all they say.
Well,
Stay in
yeah,
the unsexy businesses. That's where the money is.
right. So whenever I was in undergraduate school, I got a football scholarship from E. E. Smith Senior High School to go to Fayetteville State. And when I stopped playing football, I went to work in the cab. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I started doing everything. I worked in catering. I worked on the serving line. I worked in the dish room. Like you said, all of the unsexy things, right? To
Yeah.
learn the business. And I fell in love with it. And I went to work when I graduated for a big company and, just saw that things were being done differently, and I felt like I could have an opportunity to be able to improve services at HBCUs. And I launched Perkins. And it's been a dogfight, man, because I operate really in a red ocean, as a independent minority owned business, man. It's different. And so, I was looking for ways to diversify the company in 2019. And I was reading articles that a company called Luby's Incorporated, which was a former parent company for Fuddruckers, was going to be divesting its assets. And Fuddruckers was one of them. And so we jumped in the process.
Welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate.
To
How do
be
you
able
know
to
that
compete.
you could even, like, just not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
how does one even know that I can even try to, when you say a company's divesting its assets, so I guess they
Yeah.
trying to liquidate so they could,
Yeah.
take whatever win they could take away. They want to
Yeah.
just clear their
That's right.
face. How do you even know, like, how to identify that type of opportunity? Like, how would
Man,
you
I read
start?
our article. I read an article that that Luby's was going to start investigating, ways to divest. And, I read between the lines, so to speak, made some assumptions, but I needed to prove whether those assumptions were true or not, that they were really going to be selling off. And when I read the article, it was in the Houston Chronicle. And I said, this could be a good potential opportunity for me to diversify the company. So as a result, I jumped at the opportunity. I sent an email just out of the blue to the CEO and told him I wanted to come and see him. So I came to Houston and made my interest known. That if what the article was saying was true, I got an interest. And
So, but at this time, are you like, man, have you ever purchased a business before?
No, it's the first time I ever done anything like this.
Because I'm sure to purchase something like 18 mil, some net worth requirements, it's some
Man,
background requirements, it's some,
bruh, it was the absolute hardest, thing that I had ever done. Everybody kept saying no. You know what I mean? Like when the process started, man, we had to deal with an investment bank. Luby's, of course, was represented by an investment bank, so that means I needed to be represented by an investment bank, right? It wasn't anything that I had ever done before, and I needed, I had a learning curve, so I needed some support, right? So I reached out to several people that I trusted, Dean Harvey, from Howard. I told him what I was trying to get done. He gave me some advice. My mentors in Baltimore, Ed Brown and Keith Lee over at Brown Capital Management, Blair Walker. I'm sure everybody's read, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?
Oh, yeah.
And Blair was with me, throughout the whole process, man, and introduced me to Lloyda Lewis, Reginald Lewis's widow. And she, gave me a lot of advice and a lot of encouragement through the process because I was an underdog, bro. And so I had done a deal with KPMG to bring them in to do some consulting with me to help me do some evaluation on the company.
So you had to spend big money just to even,
bruh.
Before you even spent big money.
This game right here is not for the faint of heart, bruh, and it's expensive. You know what I mean? And you're right. You got to spend bread to even determine whether or not it's a good fit for you. Just evaluating the company if you're going to do it right, if you don't have that skill set. So that meant lawyers, that meant, consultants, investment bank, folks, right? So I couldn't afford to have this arsenal of, investment banks and lawyers. And so, I had to set budgets and parameters, say, hey, not to exceed, this amount. I had to, roll my sleeves up and just start doing a lot of evaluation on my own. And it taught me a lot about my own skill set, right? What my own abilities are and what I can do. So I had some support, man, KPMG. And then I got a lot of free support too, man. Like I said, from Lloyd being there, from Mr. Brown and Keith, my homeboy Brandon Comer from Comer Capital. Zach McDaniels,
What made you comfortable to spend that type of bread? Like, did you have any exposure to their books at all? Like, did they give you any type of like understanding of like what their financial strength is before you invest in all those consultants and stuff?
No. Once you in the game, once you have made your interest known, and they invite you into the process. Once their investment bank kind of qualifies you, you at that point, got access to everything. So once you get the data, go, no go, you got to be able to make that determination by unleashing your investment bank, accountants, lawyers to do due diligence. Due diligence is expensive, bro. Companies make millions and millions and millions of dollars just off of due diligence. And I learned that, and you got to go through that process to determine whether it's a go or no go.
So what qualified you to even throw your hat in the ring? Like what type of
drive?
Like if you can give
nothing more than drive and determination, bro. When I tell you I was an underdog, my brother, underdog. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, and not to mention this happened during the pandemic, and I'm in the food business and everything got shut down. Like all of my campuses, everything, bro. Everything just closed. And the reality is that piece, quote unquote, if you will, around me afforded me the opportunity to be able to focus on it, right? But I had to save my current company, because we went from, revenues dropped to zero because of, everything shutting down. And then, I'm trying to pursue this other opportunity, man. It was literally nothing but the grace of God. And so I had to just, put my head down and, just drive forward. And, but that time period did allow me some time to be able to focus on the deal. And I never gave up, man. I got up every morning. I worked literally in front of a computer all day long, talking to bankers, talking to, big business people who are out here, man, just trying to get help from wherever I could get it from. Wow. And, no one had an appetite for it, at the time.
So when you make an acquisition like this, you get an investment bank involved, you got all these other people. Is it that 18.5? Is that are you financing that, or is that something?
Yes, I finance it. It's a combination of both debt and equity. So, I had to invest some equity into the deal, and then I took on some debt as well in order to be able to structure the financing for that. But typically, bro, these deals are, with venture capitalists, and investment banks. I learned a lot, even in talking to the people at JP Morgan about, capital stacks, at what levels do other people come in and participate in a particular deal, right? So you get this mezzanine funding, you got venture capitalists, you got debt, traditional debt, then you got equity, and then, you building this pyramid, if you will, as it pertains to different size deals. and how much any one particular side can participate, and then you learn about, interests, right? Whether it be controlling interest, and I learned a very valuable lesson about ownership and control. People sometimes confuse the difference between ownership and control. They think, oh, if I got 51%, that means that, I have control. Well, one thing my lawyers taught me is that you can have less than 51% and still have control, right?
Wow.
So that was one of the things that I learned. There
what
is
does that mean? Like
difference.
voting rights or something?
Yeah, people think like, so like the reality is that you can still maintain control of the entity and not necessarily own 100% of it or the majority interest in it, and still be able to maintain control. And that was one of the things that my lawyers taught me about how people go into deals with, different types of investment banks and and different investors. You could potentially wind up being in the minority in terms of ownership, right? But from an equity, quote unquote, equity and ownership standpoint, but controlling interest in the company can still be maintained depending upon how you negotiate those terms of the deal. And I had to learn that, because starting a company from scratch the way that I did, I've always owned 100% of my own business. I've never been in a situation like that. I wasn't really interested in that. So those discussions to me made it not as attractive, right? And so I needed to try to figure out a way that would allow me to be able to have 100% ownership of the company. And taking on debt allowed me to be able to do that. Now, some people criticize that. Some people say, it's too much risk, you shouldn't, you shouldn't do that. The way that, finance is structured, you should allow other people to spread the risk around and things of that nature. And that just wasn't attractive to me, so
right now you got 100% ownership and control.
I do. Yeah. Wow. Because I'm the, it's all me. Wow. Because of the debt component, I wasn't afraid of that, yeah. And so, I don't.
When you financing like that much money, is that ain't a 30-year mortgage, is it? That's like
no, man. Definitely not. And so, I have some non-disclosures in my, finance agreement that won't allow me to go into too much detail about the structure, but it itself, it has a term on it plus, an interest rate, and, we got to make that payment. You know what I mean?
You got prepay.
Absolutely. We got to make that payment. So shoot, I got to be aggressive in terms of what it is that we're doing. Right. And that's,
I guess the good thing about it, man, once you pay that debt off, I mean,
we free and clear, baby. You own the whole thing, man.
Yeah, you could cash flow it like the way you want, then probably
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that's the goal.
You gotta have that exit strategy in place.
Yeah, you do. And when a lot of people think about, business in that way. And but bro, I gotta be honest with you. I'm a little bit of a different type of entrepreneur, man. I'm more of a social entrepreneur. I gotta be honest with you. Most people say, a business is an asset. You never should fall in love with it. There's always a price tag for it. Somebody comes along, you're supposed to part ways with it if it's the right amount of money. I'm a community person. I think about the importance of having ownership and equity in our own community and having businesses that, the future generations will be able to look back upon and see, as an example of what entrepreneurship is and what entrepreneurship can do, in the minority business community. And so for me, I think about, what that would mean for us, And so when I look at my companies, bro, I really do see them as legacy companies, future generations.
You got kids?
Not yet.
Okay.
So that's what I was going to say next. Future generations for me, when I do have kids, they make it care less, about
so I would imagine the DMs are a little bit crazy these days.
They out of control, bro. If you could see some of the stuff flying through my DMs right now, my man, it's unbelievable.
Man, I'm sure the DMs, you probably got more cousins than before the whole nine, man.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
That's good. Where are your spots located? The ones that you own specifically?
So in Houston, Arizona, Kansas City, Missouri, Virginia, and St. Louis, excuse me, Kansas City, Kansas, and St. Louis, Missouri.
Have you been to all of them?
I have, man. Touched every last one of them. Now, I ain't there that often. You know what I mean? Got a vice president of operations that kind of takes care of that stuff, man. But I'm focused on strategy right now. But I have to lead the ops to them.
So what are you changing? Because when I was younger, I remember Fuddruckers kind of being like a TGI Fridays type of vibe.
Family type.
In a minute, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are in Chicago like that, but
no, the previous ownership exited the Chicago market. We're gonna look to restart reselling it again, in 2023.
Okay. So how are you changing the business model up?
Well, one of the things that we want to try to focus on, man, is consistency across the brand. That's the first thing. We got to make sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music, really sticking to the core values of the brand. Fuddruckers isn't a brand that you really got to explain to a lot of people. There is a generation that has to be reintroduced to the brand. But as far as our core menu and what we offer, not going to change it, right? I'm adding to it, not taking away from it. You know what I mean? So some of the things that you're going to be able to see is us incorporating plant-based alternatives so that we could be more inclusive as a brand, diversifying, our franchisee base is important, making sure that we've got diversity, man. So the system-wide changes you're going to be able to see, from the very beginning when we start reselling franchises. But as far as like what we're doing in restaurant, man, just building upon what's made Fuddruckers, a dynamic brand over the past 40 years. And that's the goal, man. But we just need consistency across the brand. We need to make sure that, our franchisees are fully supported. We're making the necessary investments in marketing and advertising and getting our restaurants, in the communities that desire it. And that's going to be on the franchise sales side. And that's what I'm really, really excited about.
Nice. So right now you're not taking on new franchisees, right?
Not right now, no. So, we are going to do that in 2023.
Okay. When what can you give me an idea on what the requirements are for, like, if somebody was interested in doing it?
Absolutely. So we're still playing around with a couple of formulas, but the franchise fee is going to be affordable. $40,000 franchise fee. The royalty fee will be 5%. We're going to develop different models. So like there'll be a full service, traditional freestanding model. We'll have non-traditional models like for airports, malls, colleges, and universities that will have a lower net worth requirement, because my goal is to make sure that we are diverse and inclusive, right? We don't want to be exclusive as we go out trying to recruit franchisees. So we're going to build all different types of models. So the net worth requirement is going to fluctuate. So we're still working on a formula for net worth, but we will have a model that's set up, man, that's going to allow, people from all different, backgrounds and walks of life to have an opportunity to have a Fuddruckers, even if it's in a non-traditional platform.
So like 10 years from now, I mean, what you got about 90 locations now. Like, is there like a target number that you're trying
to? Man. Yeah. We want 500.
Wow. And that's all in the US.
Yeah. Yep. Right now. But we want to attract some international development as well. We've got, a footprint, the world's footprint, bro. So we want Fuddruckers everywhere, man. And so, our goal is not only to, grow domestically, we want to grow foreign too, man. So, but we're gonna crawl before we walk, So, but that's the goal, is to attract investment, from all over the world.
So what is it like? I know you had your company at 24. and I'm sure it was definitely successful. But now, you know, you're in a bigger, it's a bigger league that you're in right now.
Yeah.
When it comes to just exposure and level of responsibility. What's it like being, you know, a black man running a brand that at one point in time was like, I mean, it's a household word now, but 20 years ago, 25, it was like Fridays, it was Chili's, you know, it was Fuddruckers, you know what I'm saying? What is it like to grow up seeing a brand, now you the CEO of that brand, you're a black man in that position, and you're responsible for all of these folks, man. They got their whole life and retirement invested in the decisions that you make.
Yep. It comes with a great deal of responsibility, bro. It's a great deal of responsibility, but just like all business, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you decide to step out there, you know, you take on, you know, a lot of risk, and everybody's depending on you, man. Your employees are dependent on you. And, you know, now it's a whole nother level. You know, like you said, you got people who've taken their hard-earned money, they're going into their savings, you know, they're going into their retirement to invest in a business opportunity to create and generate wealth and, you know, a posterity in their family, something that they can pass down to future generations. And, you know, that's the beauty, you know, of entrepreneurship, and it's the beauty of and power of franchising. And so when I think about that, you know, I want to be inclusive, you know, as a franchise owner. You know, I take into consideration the thoughts, views, feelings, and opinions of that franchisee group, because in many instances, that's where, you know, most of your creativity and ideation comes from, is that existing group, especially the legacy group. So I put together an infrastructure from a franchise sales side that is in constant contact and communication with our franchise community, so that, you know, these guys know that they have a voice, and they know that that they know that they have an opinion on the direction of the brand, and I value that. You know, and in addition to that, I want the best, brightest, and experienced consultants, you know, in my company, because, you know, I want to get this thing right, man. You know, so we have a partnership, marketing partnership with Rock Nation that we're very proud of, that, you know, helps guide a lot of our strategic marketing and the direction that, you know, that we go in. Another marketing company called Optimob Media that we use. And we're making a lot of investments right now in marketing and brand strategy, so that, you know, whenever we really get out here, man, you know, in 23, that we're investing our marketing dollars in assets that's going to get the greatest return for our brand. So, you know, those are the things that I've really been focused on.
Brother, making it happen out here, man. So,
trying, bro.
I've been in business, man, 12 years, entrepreneurship 100%. A lot of people, man, think entrepreneurship is just so sexy, man. It's just, you know, 18.5 million. They see the smiling face, they see the achievement. Talk to me about the stress, man. Like, what are some of the things that keep you up at night? And it's obvious, you know, payroll and having reliable people and building a team. But what are some of the things that a common person wouldn't know that, you know, might keep you up at night?
You know, the reality is that we're never satisfied. You know, that's the danger of being an entrepreneur, bro, is that this is the hunger is insatiable. You're never satisfied. You never got enough, right? And we never have the ability to really put confines, you know, around our minds as it pertains to innovating and wanting to grow and wanting to get to the next level. It's almost like when you achieve that, you know, that one goal, you aspiring to go a little higher. You understand? Yeah. And so when, you know, as I'm thinking, you know, night in and night out, is, you know, how can I become the standard, you know, for all how all other hamburger brands are judged, right? You know, what's that next best thing for us? You know, what are we gonna do, you know, to stomp out, you know, Shake Shack and Five Guys and these other brands that we're gonna be gunning for? You know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, those are the things that keep me up at night, you know, making sure that we're the best, you know, making sure that the investments that people are going to make in me, the sacrifices that people make to become a part of my brand, and those that have made them to, you know, to be franchisees now, get the maximum return on their investment. So, that stuff matters to me, as I think about Fuddruckers. And then on the other side, I'm constantly in a fight against the largest corporations in the world. I compete against Aramark, Sodexo Magic, and all these other, companies that are out there. And every day you waking up somebody trying to take your lunch, right? The reality is that you got to be tough, man. This is not for the faint of heart. I stopped short of saying it's not for everybody, because I believe that anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur should be. But you got to understand that and accept that there is no security in business beyond the day that you in. You get past that, you can make it. And tomorrow, but AI said it all the time, right? He got a tattoo on his body. Only the strong survive. In business, that's real, right? It's the honest to God truth. Only the strong survive in business, because it's going to test everything you got. And so you gotta accept the fact that there is no security beyond the day that you in, and you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you do that, you can make it, because this it's tough, man. It's this ain't for the faint of heart.
Man, how was your life changed since what is it? I mean, I'll be on my timeline. I'm seeing you like 18. I'll just be seeing stuff. The algorithm be putting you right in front and center of my face all the time, man.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. I mean, the reality is I'm an introvert, man. I'm not a person that likes a lot of attention. So, there were times where I felt like it had died down, man. And then, Rose reposted, and then as soon as Ross reposted, it caught like wildfire, and it picked back up again, and everybody's talking about it. But my people are excited about it, man. For me personally, I go hide behind a rock somewhere. But for what it means for my community, what it means for where I come from, what it means for the people who aspired, who come from nothing and aspire, to do and be something great, it means a lot for them, right? To be able to see something like that. And I've had to come to accept that if I have to be that example for my own people, then it's a blessing, but, I don't necessarily want to be viewed as, I've arrived at a mountaintop, where I'm climbing the mountain, literally, you know what I mean? But, not to, lessen the accomplishment. But the reality is, bro, the work is just begun.
Man. So what was it like growing up in Fayetteville?
Fayetteville is a very interesting place, man. It's my home, man. Born and raised there, man. We grew up in less than ideal circumstances, bro. We lived in a little housing community called Elliott Circle. A little 1-bedroom spot, no central air, no central heat. Heating the motherfucking place by kerosene heater. You know what I mean? It's just rough, man. My grandma lived in the projects for 35 years, man. Housing projects called Campbell Terrace, and we were poor, man. Just didn't really know it.
It was out. So what motivated you? Because obviously, I mean, you went on to get a scholarship for football.
Yeah.
Got your MBA. You had your own business at age 24. I mean, what was motivating you at that age, man? Because I mean, Fayetteville is not a city that I really hear about ever.
No, man. You and not really. It's just Fort Bragg. Is the thing that's, really giving our city some notoriety, man. It's the largest military base on the East Coast. And so, that's what, brings a lot through there. The city is, is growing and developing now. But, I was just motivated, man, I think even more to achieve, because of my mother, really. She education was very important to her. So she made sure that we went to school, made sure that we did the things that we were supposed to do. And the reality is that, we grew up poor, really, you know what I'm saying? But, we had everything that we needed, and when I reflect back on it, and I've been doing a lot of that recently, just thinking about what it was like growing up and what we didn't have, but how we made the best of what we did have. And then, but I was always a reader, man. My first hero was Thurgood Marshall. I wanted to be a Supreme Court judge whenever I was a kid, man, until I realized you had to be a lawyer first. And I had no interest in that. So, that quickly went away. And Martin Luther King was one of my other heroes that my mother introduced me to. But man, in fourth grade, man, I met one of my best friends, my brother. His parents were entrepreneurs, and that was the first time I ever seen anything like that, man. Black people who live very well, that own their own home. They had a business. They, drove Mercedes. We were walking and on the bus. You know what I mean? We went to the grocery store with food stamps. And so to see people with the same skin color as me, living at that level was a great inspiration for me. And I say this all the time. I was very indebted to them for that level of exposure, because it changed my mind about what we could really do and be, and that was great, because it was nothing like I had ever seen before in my life. And so that's why I always try to take the time that I do to spend with younger people than me, and then push and encourage them, to be entrepreneurs. So if the article does anything, in the circulation of it, that's what I want to see it do. Inspire other people to go out and join this fight, because it's not over, and that's what I want to see, because where there's a will, there really is a way. That proved it to me, being able to get this done during the pandemic.
So, and that's a dope story, man. I mean, was it when you were playing football, were you like, okay, I'm trying to use football as just a way to get free education, or were you actually trying to like make it to the league?
No, I wasn't. Football for me was something that, I just tried, man, while I was in high school. My friends were just like, bro, like, man, you need to come play, and it came natural to me, man. And I had a defensive end.
Okay. Oh,
and
man.
it was
beating on folks, man.
Well, yeah, I took
Hitting
some
people,
too,
man.
I put a beating on a couple, but I took some too. But I was good enough, to be able to get a scholarship, and I was recruited by several schools, but Division II, man, I wasn't Reggie White out there, nothing like that. So, I wasn't going to the league or nothing like that. But it was a means to an end in terms of, getting myself into school, and I was successful in being able to do that. But that's what took me to Fayetteville State originally.
So when you graduated from Fayetteville State, did you and you started your business? Your business, it was doing pretty well before you got to Howard?
Yeah. I came to Howard in 2011 for my master's, and I finished in 13. At that time, see, how long had I been in business? I started in 2004. So, yeah, man, I've been in business for 7, 8 years by that point. So, so that's whenever, I got there, and, we just kept pushing, bro. Like, we I wanted to go to Howard, you know what I mean? That was, important for me, because I wanted to get my master's. And, I wanted to go to HBCU, and I was the first student to apply and accepted into the, executive MBA program there at Howard. And, the rest is history.
Welcome to the Go Fish Village podcast. As a Chinese proverb says, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. At Go Fish, our goal is to teach individuals just like you how to build wealth through real estate.
What even after having a successful business, what made you want to go back to Howard? Because to be honest, you probably were more experienced in business than a lot of your teachers at that point to have a, you know what I mean? Because it's one thing to learn stuff in the classroom, but the classroom can't teach you about the emotions that's involved with decision making.
Mm-hmm.
When it's your money, when it's your life, when it's your retirement, when it's all of your stuff, your name on the line. Why go back and get a master's degree?
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to make sure that, I prepared myself in the best way possible to be able to compete, man. I'm competing against, it just damn near seems like insurmountable odds sometimes, man, because I'm competing in a red ocean, man, against multi-billion-dollar corporations. I wanted to make sure I was sharp. I wanted, and my MBA from Howard, bro, challenged me greatly, and I learned a lot. While I was there, but I'm a lifelong learner, man. I really believe in the power of education. It was the way that I was raised, and and I want to be associated and affiliated with minority serving institutions, and that's what my focus has been. And not only in my business but also in my own work, and working in and around HBCUs.
Was you ever in class like, you don't know what you're talking about? What you talking about?
All the time, man. But you got to humble yourself, Yeah, so I mean, sometimes you listen to people and it's theoretical.
Yeah.
People, and that's what they got to do. They got to teach the theories, right? Reality is that it's always different whenever it don't quite go that way in real life. So when you start having to apply practical circumstances to theoretical instances like that, that's whenever your street smarts and everything else got to kick in, because it never goes the way that you could potentially plan it out on paper. And you got to be wise enough and have enough courage to be able to pivot and still be able to press it forward.
So what was that experience like having in an executive MBA? Because those, I know it targets like high level people.
Yes.
That are in business or have high ranking positions. I mean, what was that experience?
Man, it's like compiling 24 months worth of MBA work into 18 months, bro. It was intense, it was hard, and it was fast. You know what I mean? And you could really get off track, if you're not focused, man. And I think I did it right at the perfect time, because my business was transitioning. I wouldn't have been able to do something like that while managing Perkins and now managing Fuddruckers. So I did it at, the right time, at 31 and then finishing at 33. And, and so, I mean, it was like, but it was great though. I mean, I had great professors there, not so much in business law. I almost want to square up with that business law teacher that I had, bro. I mean, it was the worst grade I got while I was in the program, bro. But other than that, I mean, it was good. It was still good, but I mean, I wasn't too thrilled with my business law teacher, bro.
It be like that, man. It be like that sometimes, man. So, so you still running both organizations? Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Yep. I president, CEO of Perkins Management, still the #1 sales guy running around from HBCU homecoming to HBCU homecoming, politicking, trying to get contract, protecting the ones that I do have, because somebody trying to come get them every day. It's a cutthroat political game that people play, man. It's almost like it's worse than construction, bro. Construction industry is very competitive, but this contract food management game, bro.
So what goes into that? Like, what are your responsibilities when you put a bid in for something like that?
Well, this business especially, it doesn't have anything to do with serving food. It's got everything to do other than that. This is truly a relationship business, right? The business that I'm in, it's a cutthroat, competitive business that shifts, but depending upon who's in power, and it's very, very political, and I didn't know that in the very beginning, coming out, wanting to, be a Black-owned food management business, realizing, as you continue to go, you start peel back layers, you understand it's in some instances it's less and less about food and more about relationships and politics. So, that's just the way that the game goes. But the reality is that, those that are the best at it win.
So, but if you're a food management company, like, what are you managing?
Cafeteria.
So, like, you hiring like all the chefs?
Yep. You got to hire all the chefs. You got to order all the food.
It's quality control on the food and all of that.
Quality control. You got to bring international brands to put in the food court. You responsible for the catering, all of that.
So it's not so basically Howard would be like, hey, this is the space.
Yeah.
Here goes the contract. For example, here go $1 million, man. Make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about the revenues that are generated?
Yeah.
The revenues that are generated, like if my school has like a McDonald's or whatever, are you like renting that space out on behalf of the school? Like, how does all of that? That work?
Yeah. So the school provides the space, and the contract is technically a lease. So you're managing the facility on campus for them. So you're responsible for providing all of the meals on campus to the students. That is a part of their meal plan. So you got to run the cab. So like at Howard, it would be Blackburn and, the annex. And then, you got, retail that would be on campus, which would effectively be the punch out. So all of the brands that are there, and then, whatever kiosks that may be in other buildings on campus you would be responsible for managing those, as well as the catering that's on campus. So they pay you for catering separately. They pay you for the students' meal plans and retail, combined in a student meal plan. So that's kind of how it works. And then, you're responsible for providing commissions. And in some instances, you make investments to build out the space, and you recover your investment over the life of the contract. So it's in many instances become a big boy game, right? So big boys come in, put multi-million dollars on the table. Sometimes they entice you with a signing bonus. Here, let me just slide this signing bonus in my proposal. See how difficult it is going to be for you to walk away from free $2 million. Just for signing up with me. And then we're going to invest X, Y, and Z in your infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's that kind of game,
Man, so is it easier when you got the lease and you like, all right, Chick-fil-A is going to take this spot? Is that like something you ain't got to, like a headache you ain't got to worry about?
Nah, you got to manage it. Chick-fil-A gives you the franchise with the license to operate the restaurant on campus, but your company got to run it.
So that means if you got a Chick-fil-A right here and a Starbucks right there, you got to learn how each of them operate.
Yep.
Oh, I got it. I didn't know that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Man, so even if is it you serving liquor too? Is that if that's in the contract?
In some instances, yeah. Mm-hmm. Some campuses are quote unquote dry campuses that don't allow it. Some, will have alcohol as part of catering sometimes, but never, a student program, of course. But yeah, we got to have liquor licenses in some instances to, set up bars and things of that nature as a part of our catering.
How many schools are you at now?
10.
Oh, wow. So you're trying to grow that aggressively too, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Man, yeah, so is that a high margin business?
It can be, by volume. So, you got to be able to put it together. You know what I mean? But, I'm the small guy on the block, depending upon, who you ask. I'm independent, so unlike a lot of these other companies that are out there doing all these majority partnerships, I bid as Perkins, and we've been able to hold our own without that. And, so, as a result of that, we've grown slower in some instances, and that's cool. But we hold our own, we ain't scared of nobody.
I know Sodexo, they was holding down Howard for
they've been there half my life.
Yeah, man. So when people complain about the quality of the food, that's who we should be complaining to, is Sodexo and not to Howard. Or
well, I mean, anytime there's a concern, you quite naturally, you always want your customers to come to you first. So I guess that would be the appropriate thing to do, is make it known to the incumbent. And then, I guess if you don't necessarily get the desired result, you want to take it to the the administration or whomever they may have as a designee on campus to deal with that kind of thing. But, they've been there for a long time. So, I'm pretty sure they figured out how to, deal with the politics of the business.
So if you can go back and give advice to your 18-year-old self,
yeah,
what would that be?
Go slow and hire better.
Yeah, building the team is so important when you starting off in business. That first hire, second hire, that really sets the tone for everybody else, because you want your voice to be heard when you're not around.
That's right.
Good one, man.
Yep. So that's the advice that I would give to my younger self. Go slow, hire better, hire smarter, and don't hold on to people so long, man. When people show you who they are, what their capabilities are, you believe them. If they're not meeting your expectations, hire slow, fire fast.
It's hard firing people sometimes. You know, I fired somebody 2 days ago, man.
Yeah.
I should have fired that person probably
That's right.
a month ago.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? When I get back from out of town, I'll do it. Then I got back from out of town. Then I was like, man, I thought I'm gonna do it after Halloween. You know, then Halloween come. I'm like, looking at the time card. I'm like, man, this person, you know, person been late this day, and everybody else seeing it. You know what I mean? So you gotta lay down the law, unfortunately. But I guess to whom much is given, man, much is required.
Absolutely.
But Nicholas Perkins, man, you've been a great guest. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, bro, I appreciate it. Honored.
Man.
Honored that you would have me. Honored that you would have me. If there's anything I can ever do to build support, you know, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.